April 28th. Clerk, please do a roll call.
Councilmember Walsh.
Here.
Councilmember Garola.
Here.
Councilmember West.
Here.
Councilmember Edberg.
Here.
Councilmember Engstrand.
Here.
And Mayor Naklosky.
Here. Will the honor guard please present the colors?
Arms. City of White Bear Lake, flag of your nation and a pledge to follow.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, you may be seated. Well, welcome everybody in the chambers. We've got a lot of people here today, and thanks for coming out. And welcome everybody online. We're going to get started and move on to approval of the minutes from the regular City Council meeting of April 14th. I would accept a motion. Second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? And the motion passes. Item 3, the agenda. Does anyone have any changes? Or
Madam Mayor, I should probably abstain on that last vote because I wasn't at the meeting, so I really couldn't be a good judge whether those minutes are good or not because I wasn't here. Thank you.
Okay, item 3, the agenda. Does anyone have any changes to the agenda?
Move to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we have an agenda. Item 4, the consent agenda. Does anyone have any changes to the consent agenda?
Move to approve.
Second.
Okay, with a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, the consent agenda passes. Item 5, visitors and presentation. Item A, law enforcement memorial. I'm going to be reading a proclamation for our law enforcement memorial. Whereas there are more than 800,000 law enforcement officers serving in communities across the United States, including the dedicated members of the White Bear Lake Police Department. And whereas since the first recorded death in 1786, there are currently more than 24,500 law enforcement officers in the United States who have made the ultimate sacrifice and been killed in the line of duty. And whereas the names of these dedicated public servants are engraved on the wall of the National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial in Washington, D.C., and whereas 363 names of fallen heroes were added to the National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial this year, including 109 officers killed in 2025, and 254 officers who died the previous year. Whereas the service and sacrifice of all officers killed in the line of duty will be honored during the National Law Enforcement Memorial Fund's 38th Annual Candlelight Vigil on the evening of May 13th, 2026. And whereas the Candlelight Vigil is part of National Police Week, which will be observed this year from Monday, May 11th to Saturday, May 16th. And whereas May 15th is designated as National Peace Officer Memorial Day in honor of all fallen officers and their families. Now therefore be it resolved that the White Bear Lake City Council shall observe May 11th through the 16th, 2026 as Police Week in the city of White Bear Lake and publicly salutes the service of law enforcement officers in our community and in communities across the nation. Thank you. Item 5B, the Police Department Biannual Report. Chief Hager.
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
members of the council, thank you very much for the opportunity. I also really want to thank our color guard again tonight. They do such a bang-up job. I think they really real professionals. I want to thank my predecessor, Julie Swanson, who started that whole program, and all three of those guys are military vets, so I really appreciate the work they do. So I'm here to talk about 2025 for the most part. Since we're so close to that year, I just did a whole year kind of recap of what we are. Here's our department photo, one of our department photos from last year. Here's our organizational chart. We had some changes, which I'll go through as we get into this presentation a little bit more. The things that we added here are reflected in the organizational chart. And in the sense of the bottom left, there says a special investigator. We added a unique position in that spot, and then we added a sergeant in charge of the detectives. So our numbers are the same. We just kind of moved them around a little bit. So kind of a department overview. I have Captain Toom and myself there. We primarily, in 2025, our patrol captain, who recently retired, had some personal issues to deal with, and so for the most part, it was the two of us in 2025. We had 4 patrol sergeants. At the end of the year, we added those different positions, which is what I'll talk about a little bit. Right now, we're at 15 police officers. We're 3 short on the patrol side. And then we're short 1 patrol captain, of course, because Captain Henry's departure. We have 3 investigators, so 1 specialty investigator, 2 traditional criminal investigators, and then 1 investigative sergeant, which I'll talk about in a bit. We have 3 school resource officers, 5 civilian non-sworn CSOs, 4 administrative staff. So currently we're staffed, we're authorized for 32 sworn police officers to include administration and supervisors, and we're currently at 28. These are our 4 patrol sergeants here, and just, I know the council knows this, but we have 2 shifts, 4 shifts, I should say, 2 day shifts and 2 night shifts. They usually work either Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then they work every other Saturday, and primarily they work somewhere around 6 to somewhere around 6 in the morning to 6 at night, things like that. So this is our investigative crew. You see on the bottom there, that's Sergeant John Vetti. He is the new position there to oversee. I'll talk about his in a little bit here, but we have 3 detectives, to include a detective sergeant. They work traditional Monday through Friday hours, and there are juvenile investigators, our SROs. They also are stationed at the various schools around White Bear Lake, and they work Monday through Friday, kind of traditional hours as well. We have administrative staff. This was just the other day, an administrative assistance day. So they're the first point of contact. They are the face that everybody that comes to see our department, it's the first group of people that they see. I can't think of a better group to work with. We added Joanne here this last year, and she's fit right in. Just a really great group. Also in there is Connie Anderson, who's a long time, as the council knows, a long-time employee with the fire department. Happy to have all that group kind of working together. But they do a variety of tasks up front for us, to include a new position that we added, our extended digital evidence processing and community engagement coordinator as well. So we had some personnel changes in 25. We added 3. You see that Officer Johnson, Simon, and Shed there in the uniforms on the right. And then, as I said, Joanne Rose, which is one of our administrative staff up there in the far right corner. And then, of course, Captain Henry retired just earlier this month after 30 years-ish of law enforcement. And then we lost one officer this year who transferred to St. Paul. Our patrol division shifts changed quite a bit, but as you can kind of tell, the people on the top, they're the day shifters. People on the bottom, they're the night shifters. Just a general trend that happens as you lose staffing, the day shift always suffers. So we take people off the day shift to make sure the night shift is covered. And there's a variety of reasons for that. A lot of activities at night. Additionally, during the day, we have some investigators there to help, some captains and a chief, not much help, but a captain and a chief that's there to help as well. So, and some SROs that can help during the day most days, except for Saturdays and Sundays. So that's why we kind of short the day shift staff. And right now, we've got one day shift staff, one day shift that's completely fully staffed, and then one day shift that's just down one. Our community service officers here, we have 5 of them. They've been pretty consistent over the last year and a half-ish, maybe 2 years. There's pictures of all of them in there. The one you might take note of is in the bottom there where Jaden and Connor wrangled a deer for us. If you didn't know this is a pretty neat event, to be honest. And so this deer got and I know Jaden's in the back room, and I don't want to embarrass him, but I will. This deer got a wire contraption wrapped around its head, and it obviously, it was going to die for sure. And these guys kind of stalked him and waited till they got into a low marshy area, and they took a blanket out and they did a huge dive and covered the deer's head and held it down along with CSO Flick and ripped that thing off their head and saved that deer's life likely. And then they got an award from PETA for it. So it was really kind of exciting time for all of us. So yeah, they do a variety of tasks for us, but we're going to lose, just kind of put it on your radar, we're going to lose 3 of them probably in the next month-ish or so, because they're all ready to go out and be sworn police officers. And then the 4th one will probably be in that position a year from now. And so we're proactively kind of working towards getting those positions filled before they even leave, so we can try to have not as much of a drop-off during our really busiest time this summer. So we hired for CSOs and we hired for seasonal CSOs, as the council knows, is a program that we're starting again this year, which I'll talk about in a few slides. Our volunteers, I can't say enough about them. There's a whole pile of them in the back of the room today. Our CERT group, they're just invaluable for us. They're just one of the most important things they do for us is a thing that I don't even appreciate as much as just their friendship and their loyalty and their valuing community, but they're free labor. Like, we just get a lot of free work done out of this group, and and although they do that for us, and I'm appreciative, of course, it's they are just kind of the bedrock, or just kind of a steady foundation for us, that every time we have something going on and we're short-staffed, we just say, well, CERT will do it. And they do every time, and they never fail. They always come through with, like they did tonight, they always just come through with plenty of volunteers to come out. We've trained about 150 CERT members over the last 10-ish. We started 15, right? And over the last 10 years, we've trained 150 of them. And we have probably a good 80 to 100 that when a need were to arise, they would show up. And then we have about 40 that show up to everything, and they're always there at Market Fest, at parades, at everything we need them for. We also continue to do a Citizens Police Academy. That's a group on the top, and that's kind of our feeder group to get into CERT or get into the reserves. Just local citizens that just want to know more about their local public safety, and I know that fire is in the middle of theirs right now. So they do one and we do one, and just really gives citizens an opportunity to see what we're all about here. And then Triad is a group of our seasoned citizens that do a great job. They meet, in our department every month and kind of look for ways to serve their community a little bit better, and we're really certainly appreciative of those folks too. So we're preparing. We've been doing this for the last few years, really preparing for the future. We found ourselves, of course, in the last 6 years, really struggling to try to find cops, right? And so, we kind of thought, well, how can we do that? We can get them in young, get them in early, try to teach them the way of White Bear Lake. And, we kind of think we're pretty awesome. So we feel like if people just could see that, then they'd want to hang out and be with us for a little bit more, maybe into their career. And so we, one of the things we did a couple of years ago is we found that kid up on the top right, Connor. He was a high school student, really an insane, crazy athlete. And I played basketball with him in the mornings, every morning. And his dad was a cop in Minneapolis, and one time he just came to me and said, I'm graduating here in a couple months, really want to be a cop. And I said, well, you need to go to college and play basketball because you'd be a standout. He goes, I want to be a cop. And so we applied for a grant and got it, as the council knows, about a year and a half ago, maybe 2 years ago. And the grant pays for a large portion of his schooling. It pays for half of his salary to the city, and it's just a really great opportunity. And right now he has been given a conditional offer to be our next police officer. So it's really fantastic that he's going to be with us. We also really kind of leaned into the internship programs. We had 2 in 2024. Last year we had 5, and we're on track to probably have 6 in 2026. It's really paid off. You see the young lady over on the left there. She, Sergeant Gadboy, who was one of our flag bearers here tonight, he took her out on the range and let her shoot one. I assume they shot more, but her very first shot couldn't have been more perfect in the middle. And so we're kind of hoping that we can keep nurturing her along. But she was an intern for us just this year. And next slide will show you a couple more of our interns. The next few slides are these new positions that we started in 2025, late 2025 into this year. And the first one, as the council knows, we started back in the spring of 2025. We had limited success due to some staffing and personnel problems. Now this year, those 2 young women in the bottom right, they are our TUIS. I think one of them in the back of the room, Lily's in the back of the room. They were our interns at the end of the year last year, and just did a great job interning for us. And now they're going to be our seasonal CSOs, 2 of our 3 seasonal CSOs, just starting right now. Lily's in FTO right now as we speak. So we're definitely planning on more success this year. We purchased that side-by-side ATV up in the top, and we're looking forward to just spending a lot more time down by the lake and in the parks, and kind of, you guys all know the reason that we started this program. We're hoping to have some success in that. Another position we started, I had to put that picture of Sergeant Vetty jumping in the pool. That was up at the high school. They had a fundraiser, and of course he's a good sport, and he was one of the first ones to dive into that cold water earlier this month. But we started an investigative or administrative sergeant position. And so what we did is we took one of the regular investigators, turned them into a sergeant position. And now that sergeant oversees 2 adult criminal investigators, one of the specialty investigators, which I'll talk about in a little bit, and then 3 CSOs. So he oversees 6 people, and then he also has his caseload of investigations too. So he also acts as a detective. Another kind of enhanced position, we used to have a part-time a public safety or police engagement coordinator, digital evidence technician, and then with the assistance of Chief Peterson on the fire side, they added a little bit to our budget, so we're able to use her as a public safety engagement coordinator. So she helps fire and police kind of arrange for their yearly, or their, in the summer here, really weekly events that we have out in the community. She also arranges for all body-worn cameras and squad camera and other digital evidence that needs to go out to attorneys and out to the public. And that itself, if I'm being honest, that itself probably could be a full-time job. It's just really, the world we're entering into is just so much stuff needs to be done on the backside of all these cases that needs to get taken care of. And for now, she's holding it down. And then she also, along with Captain Tuma and Sergeant Vetty, they're kind of our communications specialists right now, our media team, and they do a lot of our work on our Facebook and other social media outlets. So really appreciative for that position as well. And then one more position there is I had to put a picture of Eddie all bloodied up. So Eddie was also one of the flag bearers tonight. I don't know if he knew that I was going to have that picture of him in there. Hey, right on. That's just a tough guy photo. I don't know. We have it all over in our police department. Every chance we get, we like to show that photo because it just looks so cool. So we started a specialty investigator position. So he's kind of a hybrid. Sometimes he works in uniform. Sometimes he works in plainclothes investigations. But it gives him the opportunity to, if he's not really following up on cases that he has to work on the street, and it gives him an opportunity to just go find stuff, proactive investigations to start. He had a really successful investigation doing some in-depth compliance investigations to our THC and tobacco and alcohol establishments. Very successful. I'm sure in the next few months we'll hear more about that. He's one of his first, and this was decided by him, but one of his first missions was to make contact with all of our business owners in town and just kind of talk to them about what we do, how we're there to help them, how they can get a hold of him individually for any of their needs that they might have and not have to reach out to 911 or whatever. And just done a really bang-up job. Like, he definitely sees what our mission is in that position, is to create more activity on our side and make sure that we are in lockstep with what the public wants and expects from us. He created a new system to kind of to discover warrants and to go serve warrants, and then he works with a lot of other departments to just make sure that we're staying on top of our crime trends in the area. So I'm really appreciative of that position, and that started late 2025. And of course, community engagement is one of the things I'm the most proud of with the city of White Bear Lake. We've had a long history of it, certainly since I've been here, of community engagement, and we really just tried to lean into it even more in the last few years. And we have a community engagement team that is kind of comprised of officers who are really into that type of work. And again, not everybody is, but they're really into that kind of work. And so they lean into that more and more. And we really done it. I'll show you when I get to some of our statistics about kind of the increases that we've made in that area. So I know that the council really enjoys seeing some maps and some statistics, so I'll bore maybe everybody else with it while I show you guys kind of some of the stuff here. But so those dots just represent, and we didn't get all of 25. We got part of 24 into 20, almost to the end of 25. It turns out mapping out this kind of stuff and doing this kind of deep dives, it takes a lot of time. And so we had a few people on, light duty last year, and so we tasked them with kind of jobs like this to try to just do the things that wouldn't get done because we just don't have the staffing for it. Wouldn't get done if we didn't have people on light duty. So one of our newer officers, Jordan Sullivan, kind of put some stuff together for us, which was great. So these are property damage accidents. You kind of see they're all over the place, side streets. Of course, they really kind of hug the interstates and the main thoroughfares through our city. The next one is crashes with injuries, and they pretty much stay on the major roads, right? 61, 35, 96, 694, White Bear, a little bit of McKnight. I mean, that's generally where all the accidents are. The ones that are kind of the outliers there on the west side of 61, that's probably related to high school a little bit. High school just started up there. I know we had a few accidents when that first started until we kind of got our arms wrapped around some of the traffic problems that were up there. Next one. So these are a little bit different kind of maps. These are assault incidents, so just assaults that we've had through our city. As you can see, they're pretty well represented around. Oftentimes when you see clusters of real, bright red, showing there on the map, that's usually around family dwellings, apartment buildings, stuff like that. That's generally where that stuff is from. So next. These are burglaries. Kind of follow the same trend. You see a big bright, some of the brighter spots again are multi-family unit dwellings, and then rental storage areas are pretty ripe with incidents that happen there because this is what happens. You have a whole bunch of property that's unguarded, and that tends to attract people that want to take your stuff. So these are domestic assaults. We have one map that's kind of extended out because we helped handle some incidents outside of our city. So you see one is way over there, way west of town. But then when you zero it in on the right-hand side there, that's just kind of all the domestic assaults all the domestics that were reported to us. It doesn't mean that there was a domestic assault that occurred, but those are the calls that we go for a domestic assault. And couldn't tell you how many of those were charged and weren't charged, but again, they cluster around some of our apartments in the downtown area as well. There's that right downtown, there's a big a blob of dots there. Well, that's just because people come to the police department to report their assault, and so that's the address of the assault, if you will. So motor vehicle thefts, it's a big cluster around dealerships, right? So that happens around there, and it happens around apartment complexes is where they tend to occur. Next. Narcotics incidents, again, these could be any variety of narcotics, from marijuana to some of your more harsher drugs. A lot of those also tend to follow major thoroughfares because the majority of them happen during traffic stops. Robberies, not many during that time. It's very rare. So that is a 12-month window. Like I said, part of 24, and then some of the months of 25 were left off. So in 12 months, we had, 10-ish robbery incidents. These are shot fired incidents. Again, it's a report of shots fired. It doesn't mean that a shot was fired. It was a report of shots fired. We don't have any way of knowing what they were. Our officers can take guesses, but unless they're absolutely sure that it wasn't a shot fired, they have to leave it as shots fired. Most of this stuff is probably not. Probably fireworks, probably a backfiring of something, probably who knows. But if we can't definitively say it wasn't a gunshot, then we have to keep it at shots fired, because that seems like a lot of people are shooting around the city of White Bear Lake, and I just don't think that's a reality. And these are some of our statistics. So I just went back a few years, 3 years, calls for service, and then I just kind of changed. I said to the council last time, I think, as well, we're in an era past COVID, past George Floyd, past a lot of the stuff that societally caused our police numbers to drop. Our proactive police numbers just dropped over that time. And that was 20 to 22-ish, 23-ish, something like that. And in fact, even earlier than that, it was, 18 and 19, there was, the incidents in Minneapolis and Ferguson and all that stuff that happened that just caused proactive policing to take a back seat to just kind of some societal whatever was happening, right? And now I think we're working our way out of it. So you see the calls for service, we increase, quite a bit. In 3 years, over 100% increase in arrests and 100% increase in traffic stops, and 90% increase in DWIs and community engagement events. That's the place where I put a lot of resources and a lot of my energy and time, and we increased that, as I said, in 3 years over 216%. So really proud of those numbers. I'm really proud of the women and men in our department that are responsible for those numbers. I'm certainly not, they are. And I'm really proud that we're able to work through some of those societal issues and departmental issues to kind of move in a different direction, if you will. We have a few more citations. There were some screwy numbers that happened in 24, so I just omitted it. It didn't make sense. Our records management system kind of didn't really work so hot for those years there, about citations and warnings. So I just went 23 to 25, a huge increase in citations, tremendous increase in parking incidents. So that's parking tickets or parking warnings. I think I said around 100 warnings in 2023, and we had 439 in 25. Then our thefts, if I didn't put numbers on here, it means that there was less than a 10% increase or decrease. And I just thought that was statistically not significant at all. So our thefts were a decrease of 32% from 23, but you see in 24 they went up a little bit. So, but overall, we're down on thefts. And then, of course, our narcotics incidents are up over 100% as well. And those, the parkings, the citations, the warnings, the DWIs, the arrests, all that stuff is proactive activity on our officer side. Crime is not going up in White Bear Lake. There's no evidence that the burglaries and the robberies and all the other incidents are increasing. They're not increasing at all. If they are, it's by just a point or two or something. And so it could be an anomaly. So really, the only thing that's changing in our city as far as crime goes is that our officers are out there just getting after it and just trying to find crime and send a message and stopping people from driving, making poor choices on our roadways. And that's kind of where all that stuff stems from. So one more slide. Then I just thought I would just talk a little bit about, as the council knows, I won't be here to deal with these issues, but these are kind of just some things I see on the horizon that we're gonna have some problems with, I think, as we move forward. Like every department has problems, but some of the stuff we're gonna be really needing to work on is the technology. It's just same thing as with fire. Like there's just so much evolving technology that that if you're not staying on top of it, then you're running in last place. And so what, right? So that could be like, all right, we're still doing fine on crime and we don't have all the cool gadgets, which is fine to say too. But I listed like drones. There are some departments that are already moving into the $500,000 worth of drones that they're putting on the roof to go respond to calls. And that's happening in Minnesota in the metro right now. Now we got drones in 22 or 23, and that was great. We're really happy that we got drones, and for sure they're outdated now. For sure we are, probably, in the bottom 25% as far as our technology and drones. We still use them. The guys do a great job with our drones. Just 2 nights ago, we were out looking for an elderly person that had wandered away, and spent a lot of time with our drones. So they're very useful. License plate readers, we have one right now down on the south end of our town, paid for through a grant through Ramsey County, and we just kind of were able to sister up to them and use a little bit of their license plate readers, stationary license plate readers, body-worn cameras and squad cameras. They're constantly evolving, just able to do so much stuff, so much more than we use them for. And then less lethal force options, those are the real deal. I mean, that's the way law enforcement is going, is trying to, we all can shoot guns. The guys had a shoot today that we have to qualify so many times per year and do what we have to do every year. But we need to find as many options as possible and make sure our officers are completely comfortable with less lethal options, because that's what we'd rather use, right? In every instance, we'd rather use less lethal options, and only in the worst case scenario use lethal options. And so a lot of that technology is outpacing us a little bit. And so those are the things I just see on the horizon, and then those affect our staffing shortages. We're always gonna, the next chief is always going to come to City Manager Crawford and say, we're in trouble staffing. We need more. We got to do this. We got to have more people. And that it all costs money. I totally get it. But what we'll lose is, because it's such a competitive market now in law enforcement, we'll just lose people because it's so much easier to go somewhere else where they have cool drones and all the cool gadgets. And you don't lose anything like you used to, in this profession. When you used to, 10 years ago to 30 years ago, if you left a department, you were starting at ground zero, and it was not a preferred position to leave your department to go to somebody else's department. Now people are trying to poach our people right now and say, if you come to our department, I guarantee you'll be a sergeant in 2 years. well, that's great because they see our talent, and we raised these guys up, and we really nurtured and created them to be talented officers. But then just pay them 20 grand more somewhere else, or tell them that they'll be a sergeant, or show them all the cool tools you have that we don't have, and it's just gonna keep feeding the staffing shortages that we have. So anyway, that's the stuff I just kind of see on the horizon. Definitely not lecturing the council. I'm just saying these are things that are possibilities in our future. So with that, I thank you, and I'd be happy to take any questions anybody might have.
Thank you so much, Chief. Does anybody have any questions for the chief? Councilmember Edberg.
Thank you, Mayor. So, Chief, we had a conversation during our citywide strategic planning meeting a couple weeks ago. I'm not interested in technology and budgets at the moment. You've been with us for many years. As you reflect back on our community, what are you seeing? What are changes in the community that are moving us in directions either of being more or less safe? Are there any impulses that have captured your attention as things to be aware of? I've got one follow-up after that. But
Sure. Madam Mayor, members of the council, thank you for the question, Councilmember Edberg. Yeah, I've been here 12 years this month. No, in May, next 12 years. And certainly over the last 7 years, we really weathered a storm in law enforcement, and we all have around the country. I was really grateful to be, quite honestly, during the really kind of crazy times, I was grateful to be working for my predecessor and for the city of White Bear Lake, because we handled things the right way. I have noticed, I'm talking to a sergeant today, actually, we were talking about there's some structural things that are going to be changed a little bit in our garage area and the Sally Port and booking room and stuff. And he said, and he's in law enforcement for 20 years too. And he said, I just never seen so many problems that we've had for DWIs. We never used to have this many problems. And I see that the amount of refusals, DWI refusals, I don't want to get too far in the weeds here, but DWI refusals just means I'm refusing to cooperate with you, officer. I'm not going to take your test and blah, blah, blah. And those used to be pretty rare. Like, people just kind of went along with the show and they did what they're going to do and they blew into the machine and they whatever. And now, we might be at 30 or 40% of people that refuse the test. And I think that coincides with a general feeling of lack of trust or respect for people in authority. Maybe I suspect that my friend Wayne Kazmarchek, the superintendent, would probably say there's similar trends in the school district where there's just less and less respect for institutions of authority, if you will. And so definitely noticing that the tendency for violence against us is growing. And our officers, we like to think that our trainers, some of them are in the room here tonight, our trainers are preparing our officers to deal with that. And at the same time, not coming across as militant or not coming across too harsh as an officer, because we still want to be officer friendly, but just to prepare our officers for that unprovoked assault that's coming their way because of just I don't know how to put my finger on it, and I don't have the data to support that that's the case, but it's just what I sense the trend is. Now, we are insulated here in the city of White Bear Lake a little bit, and we have been since I've been here, in the sense that we're in White Bear Lake. Like, we have really tremendous citizens here, and the vast majority of the citizens appreciate us and appreciate what we do. And so we are insulated a little bit. We get waves with all 5 fingers when we go by, and not every jurisdiction gets that same luxury. So we're insulated in that, but it takes one, right? Officer Sheik was shot, 3 years ago, and so it happens, right? It happens here, and God forbid it happens again. But I think that's one major trend that I see, is that it only takes one to change a community. One incident could really alter the direction of a police department or a community. So I've noticed that. Having said that, since kind of lived through the pre-9/11 days where we were just civil servants, and then all of a sudden 9/11 happened, and some of our older people in the room, some of our older people in the room remember this maybe, that all of a sudden we got lumped in with military and firefighters, and they're thanking us for our service, and we were great. And so we got to live through that. That was really an interesting time. Been thanked for my service, 1,000 times in public. And I don't think that happens in every community as well. I just happen to work for two communities here in the north suburbs who are both kind of very similar in that regard. They had a really great citizen base. But yeah, I don't know if that was an answer to your question, sure or not.
No, I appreciate it. Thank you. So, of the data that you shared, the two that popped out at me, you've already mentioned one, the increase in DWI. You've noted that it may not be an increase in the incidence of criminal behavior, people driving drunk, and perhaps we've got more effective, more folks able to do the work of apprehending, testing, all that kind of good stuff. Domestic abuse, and the slide with the number of incidences has been something that I've been aware of and watching. And do you have any sense of the direction of where that particular crime is moving? And are we making any changes as a community, as a society that gives us reason for hope? There's a whole lot of those bullets, bright colored things on your map. And it's like, that's a lot of crap going on.
Yeah. So last year, I believe in 24, we had 105 domestic assault arrests, 105. So 100 times out of all those domestics that we responded to, 100 times we arrested somebody. I would suspect a handful or two handfuls of those were the same people twice, my assumption is. So we have 80 people, in a year in the city of 25,000 that commit a domestic assault. Obviously, very rough numbers. I don't see it as getting worse. It's one of those crimes that, while partnering with agencies like Northeast Youth and Family Services, NYFS, I believe they've really improved our response capabilities for domestic assaults. Not on the night of when all these women and men in the back of the room are responding to it. They still are responding to a very unpredictable, chaotic scene oftentimes. And it's as dangerous today for them as it has ever been in the past. But how we can service these folks, victims especially, has increased. And maybe over time, and we really have turned the corner on how much better we respond to domestic assault victims through this new program that we partner with NYFS to do, as well as sexual assaults. And maybe over time, that'll make a difference. I mean, that's one of those things where you don't, I give a lot of, when I'm teaching, I give a lot of my young kids who are in class, a hard time because they're 19 and they're going to come out of college and then they're going to be put in uniform and they're going to go into some 60-year-old couple's house and they're going to talk to them about how to improve their marriage and not fight so much anymore. And I always say departments aren't looking for that, right? But it's a little bit where we're at now is that if we change service providers to help our victims on the other end of things, it takes a few years for that to kind of catch up to where maybe we're not having the same victims over and over again, and then maybe it curbs the amount of domestic assaults that we're responding to. But it's not a short game, that's a long game. So I think that, all we can do is try the things that, experts in our field tell us are the things that will work. And City Manager Crawford and I think, took a little bit of a gamble to go with NYFS, as we were the only ones in really, for sure, Ramsey County, but a large portion of, in the whole metro that went with NYFS, and now not turning back. We're completely happy we did that. And so maybe over time that'll make a dent in domestics. I don't see domestics really on the rise or on the fall. They seem to be one of those pretty constant things. You know, we have our downtown area, and then our our area out by the interstate. But other than that, we're a real bedroom community, and communities have one thing in common, is that they have a lot of people that are cooped up in the same house, and they want to irritate each other. So that's probably not going to change.
Okay. Thank you for your service, Chief.
Thank you.
Councilmember Gorola.
Less question, more comment. I appreciate your leadership and always trying to recruit good leaders to come to our community and retain them. And especially just what you put in the last slide. I think I always think about staffing shortages and avoiding them with just salary, and have never thought about, oh yeah, if you have drones and other things. So just gave me something to think about, and I appreciate. I didn't feel like you were lecturing us saying that. So I really appreciate your transparency and advocacy for that, because it was something I hadn't thought of.
Good. Thank you.
Does anyone else have any questions for the chief? No? Okay. I just want to say a quick thank you for your presentation, and also to all the police officers in here, and also the CERT group who gives their time volunteering. And I don't know that we thank you enough, and I know the city council appreciates it, and so does the city of White Bear Lake. So thank you all for everything you do to keep us safe. Thank you. Okay, moving on. Item 5C, employee recognition. Ms. Crawford.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the council. So tonight is Chief Hager's last city council meeting, so we're going to honor him tonight before he retires on May 8th, a week and a half from now. So I have a few remarks, and then we'll present Chief with his bear, and then if anybody on council has any remarks for Chief before he says a few words, I'm sure too. So, all right, I have a little script here. I'm going to read from it so I don't screw anything up here for you tonight, Chief. So tonight, we honor Chief Dale Hager and his exceptional service to the White Bear Lake community. Throughout his tenure, Dale has made a lasting impact not only on our police department, but on our city as a whole. One of the hallmark achievements under Dale's leadership was the implementation of a successful CERT program. Because of his expertise and commitment, we now have roughly 150, as Chief said, trained and engaged community members who regularly assist the police department with events and searches. This program has strengthened public safety and deepened the connection between residents and our officers. And many of those community members are here tonight just to say thank you to Chief, so thank you for coming. Dale also played a critical role in developing an updated massage therapist and licensing ordinance for the city. His work investigating establishments and enhancing local regulations has been instrumental in helping us combat human trafficking in our community. This is work that protects some of our most vulnerable community members. Alongside his law enforcement duties, Dale has invested deeply in the next generation of officers through his contributions in higher education. Candidates applying to our department literally regularly speak about having Dale as a professor, and they do so with genuine enthusiasm. It's something I'm always proud of to hear when we're in interviews together. His influence has strengthened recruitment efforts not only here but across the state by helping shape thoughtful, well-prepared young officers, and some of whom are in the room today that we have hired. As chief, Dale's leadership expanded our partnerships and enhanced public safety in meaningful ways. His strong relationship with White Bear Lake area schools helped support the addition of a third school resource officer, ensuring better protection and stronger ties with students. Under Dale's leadership, the department added a 5th sergeant who not only serves as an investigator but also oversees our SROs and investigation division. This strengthened our structure internally and improved the support we provide to both schools and community partners. He also led the creation of a community impact response officer position. We heard about that tonight, but this was an innovative approach that focuses on high crime areas and priority concerns within our community. And this is targeted strategy. This targeted strategy has helped our department address issues proactively and effectively. And going a little bit off script here, you know, I like to not show council and the community behind the curtain really ever, but this is something that Chief and I kind of went back and forth on a lot for a good part of a year. Chief, you were right. And perhaps one of the clearest reflections of Dale's community-oriented leadership is the department has doubled its number of community touch points. Dale has always understood that effective policing begins with strong relationships, and he has led with that philosophy. All right, Dale, almost done. So your dedication, integrity, and steady leadership have without a doubt left a positive impact. Our city is safer, our community is more connected, and our department is stronger because of you. On behalf of the City of White Bear Lake, genuinely thank you for your service, and congratulations on your well-earned retirement. So to show our appreciation of you, I'm going to meet you down at the podium and present you with your infamous bear.
Yeah, no, go, yeah.
Well, not that everybody's not sick of hearing my voice. I've been speaking for 20 minutes, but thank you all for coming tonight. I appreciate the outpour of appreciation that they're showing to the city and maybe to me. I thank you, City Manager Crawford. That was very nice, kind words. I appreciate that. You didn't have to say I was right. That's okay. Thank you. Thank you, the council and mayor. There's people in the room that I need to thank and I want to thank. But first, I definitely have to thank my wife, my two beautiful kids that are here today. Lincoln is a senior. He'll go to the U of M next year. Really proud, super proud of him. Brindle is a sophomore. She turned 16 in less than 2 weeks and gets her driver's license. I'm super proud of her, and I couldn't have done anything in my career without my wonderful wife Kelly, who I started this whole career with. Like, we've been, together since the beginning of my law enforcement career. And actually, we met when I was undercover. And she wasn't a drug dealer, but that's how we met. And we just continued on. She came from a law enforcement family. And so I've just really fit in and just so grateful for her guidance and gentle kind of pushback on me when there's things that I should have done better or could do better in this career. So thank you to them. Mark Sather's in the back and Doug Bean's in the back, and they were on the council that hired me. Mayor Emerson's in the back. She was on the council that hired me. And of course, my predecessor, Julie Swanson, is here as well, and she actually did hire me. And so really appreciative to all the folks in this room that kind of gave me a start here in White Bear Lake. It was been interesting 29 years. As I mentioned a little bit, went through some rocky stuff, especially maybe in the last 10 years with, some Ferguson on, from 2014 on. I've never witnessed that kind of just open a pushback against law enforcement, and there was a lot of people that left the career, as you all know, and I'm super proud of the women and the men in the back of the room in uniform, both on the fire side and the police side, because it's a thankless. I said that I've been told thank you for your service thousands of times, since 2001, and that's great. It really is. Oftentimes the same people that say that, however, would say not such nice things about me if I arrested them or give them a ticket or something like that. And so you have to take it with a grain of salt. You have to have a kind of a true knowledge and standing of what you're doing in society and really feel like you're doing the right thing. Because even when you mess up, and some of these young folks in the back have a lot of mess ups in their future still, and it's going to happen, because anytime you deal with people for a living, as you all know, there's no perfect answer that solves every problem. And especially when we're asked to introduce ourselves into somebody's personal life and in 7 to 17 minutes solve their life for them, it's unrealistic that we can do that. And so sometimes, society gave us, years ago, they gave us a hammer and said, solve, all the world or nails, and solve the problems by hitting people until they cooperate or arresting your way out of problems. And what we've learned in the last, 10, 15, 20 years is that that's not the answer. We can't arrest our way out of community problems. And so then that's fine. And so we're teaching they're way better at it than I am, de-escalation and all these new skills that we have to not be a hammer and nail scenario. But now they just stack more on us. We have to be perfect de-escalators, and you have to be perfect drivers, and you have to be perfect at use of force and don't ever miss if you shoot something, and be good with kids, and just have all these skill sets that they expect us to have. And I'm just so proud of my colleagues that kind of came through this with me, but also of all these young people in the back who, through all that, they knew it all. And if they didn't know it, more than half of them are my students. And I told them, I'd tell them horrible stories, and I'd say, now you know the truth. So I never want you to say, I didn't know that going into law enforcement, because I told them the bad parts of law enforcement before they got in. And I'm just so impressed that they still are plowing forward to do this job that's not always great, but it's provided me with a great life, provided me with great stories, and helped provide my family with their needs. And I'm just so proud of just the people that came along with me, and I thank you all for recognizing me tonight. And I know that you're being left in good hands. I know. What do you call him? Chief in Waiting Johnson? Chief in Waiting. I know Chief in Waiting Johnson, and he's a good dude. And if I'm being honest, the leadership group that you have in the White Bear Lake Police Department is second to none. And if he just simply let them run the department, he'd be a really smart dude, because we have incredible leaders, to start with Captain Tuma right over here, and our 5 sergeants. They know what to do in a department, and they just do a fantastic job, and they've really helped me be a better chief by managing this department for me. So I know that you're left in great hands, and I appreciate the opportunity. I appreciate the last 12 years, and I appreciate this. So thank you.
Council has a few things they want to say. Well, I'll start off. I'd like to thank you so much for your dedication and service, Chief. You've just had unwavering commitment to the department, and your leadership, integrity, and ability to listen and de-escalate. Just even the short amount of time I've been here, I've gotten compliments on you for your ability to do that, and it's admirable, and your leadership to these people who are also following your footsteps are going to follow that as well. And it's very impressive, and it's made a lasting impact. And to your family, I know the sacrifices you guys have made to support Chief in doing his important work, and I just want to thank you for that, and thank you for sharing him with the community of White Bear Lake. It's very much appreciated, and I know it's hard. Congratulations on your retirement. You'll never have to rein in any new mayors again. He knows what I'm talking about. I hope you enjoy the peace and flexibility of retirement. Thank you.
Mayor. Thank you.
Member West.
Yeah, thank you. Chief, we've talked before. I'm a former member of the household of law enforcement, and so I appreciate more than some about how much sacrifice it means for your personal life and your family's lives. So I can't say enough how much I thank you for all of that, you and your family. I always felt confident that you knew what you were talking about with the trends and what was coming up in law enforcement, and that, I think, is really important. I appreciate your calm and friendly demeanor. That's always something, even during a invigorating protest, like you were out there smiling and just kind of taking care of things. That's true. You're always willing to share who you are. You always know who you're going to get when you're talking. You're very honest about that, and that's something that I very much appreciate. The community engagement that you have really helped to blossom has been fantastic. And I really appreciate the mental health support that you have supported for all of the officers. So thank you so much, and congratulations again.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Councilmember Gurula.
Well, thank you, Chief Hager. And just to share a quick note, I also echo what others said here. And I feel like I got a little extra insight because you were my spouse's instructor at Century, which when he first came home, I thought, who is this police chief that has you all of a sudden inspired and excited about school? And it was you. And the first time I met you, you were out walking on Lake Avenue. And that's when Ramon first introduced me. And I think that also speaks to you're out in the community and out and about. And, you were just on shift, but still out there and being present for people. And you're also another reason why I really, when my family was looking at places to move, we thought, well, I think White Bear Lake would be a good fit for our family. So if anyone doesn't like that I'm here, no, but really, where we'd be safe and could raise our family. And I asked Ramon if he had anything to share, and he just said, thank you for giving him the motivation and confidence to go about the work. And even though he ended up becoming a firefighter, you still played a significant role in who he is today and in our family. And I'm really grateful for that. And he also said, thank you for your friendship and mentorship. So we'll miss you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Councilmember Walsh.
Well, thank you, Madam Mayor. I was going to use the same word that Councilmember West used, calm. I think calm, steady leadership, strong leadership. When you guys are calm, it makes us calm, and I think hopefully that makes the whole community calm, and it's really important. I appreciate all the work on recruiting. I love hearing the stories about classrooms. I hope you stay in the classroom. I hope you and Chief Swanson stay in the classroom and keep sending people to White Bear Lake. That's been really a benefit for us, and I hope that continues. I've appreciated our talks at Caribou, where I can get caught up in a kind of a casual setting, and I hope you, I don't know if I'll see you again in Caribou, if you'll be hanging around White Bear Lake, but hopefully you come down to White Bear Lake. And then when you were hired as chief, you said you kind of made a commitment to community engagement. You said, and you certainly talked about it tonight, but you lived that, you met that commitment, and I think that's really important. I think that's unique in our town, and I want that to continue as well. Any Market Fest, any night on Thursday nights, or the fireworks or things like that, you always run into you. And I remember one time I ran into you on Lake Avenue, Lake Drive, and the fireworks were canceled. It was a Thursday night Market Fest. The fireworks got canceled, but it turned out to be kind of a nice night. And you texted into the group chat to Rick. It's like, why are there 1,000 people on the beach looking for fireworks? And you about gave him a heart attack, and it was pretty funny. But that's just an example, just kind of we're really lucky to live in a small town like that and have you guys out in the community. So I'll say it one more time. Thank you for your service.
Thank you very much.
Member Edberg.
Thank you, Mayor. So, Chief, I can't add much to what's already been said. I think what struck me as the city manager was reciting the diversity of advances that you have sponsored, led, supported, everything from training and recruitment, the whole gamut of citizen engagement, all of the good stuff. It's transformed portions of our community, and that's not easy to do. And I thank you for that.
They said it all.
You get a hug. You get a hug.
We're gonna bring it in. I don't want you to get too big of a.
Bring it in.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Wait till people leave.
We have to stay?
You have to stay. Belong. Item 5D, Manitou Days presentation and resolution grant support. Ms. Crawford.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the council. I'm going to introduce Scott Bonin, who is going to talk about Manitou Days for 2026. And then after his presentation, we'll ask the council to support a resolution of support authorizing public resources for the 2026 community events. Scott.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for having me tonight. I'm the chair of Manitou Days. This is my second year being the chair, and I'm really enjoying it. I know some of you might already know this, but Manitou Days has been going on for a long time, since like 1967. And the chamber used to be really involved with planning and everything. And in 2006, they gave it up. And that's when a group of volunteers came together in White Bear Lake and really kept the event going. And since then, it's continued to be a group of volunteers. And we couldn't do it without the support of the city, too. We've had great support in the past. This year, we are asking for continued support. It's a 3-week festival, kicks off on June 18th, goes through July 4th. Lots of events. Some of the big ones are the parade, the beach dance, the fireworks, but there's a lot of events in between too. Also Market Fest that will be talked about tonight too. But we are asking for support from the community resources. Same as last year, nothing changed. I don't know if there was any complaints or concerns about last year, but if there was, I'd like, I'm always available, or bring them to my attention, I will address them immediately. So, but yep, we're just asking, Manitou Days is asking for continued community resource support.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Does anybody have any questions for Scott? No? Okay, thank you, Scott.
Okay, thank you guys.
Move to approve the resolution.
All right. All right, any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right, the resolution passes. Okay, next up, we have item 5E, Market Fest presentation and resolution granting support for Market Fest. Ms. Crawford.
Thank you, Mayor. So Mayor, members of the council, tonight we have Laura Lewis here to present about Market Fest. She does have a brief presentation, and then again, we would be asking the council to adopt a resolution authorizing financial support and logistics support for Market Fest in 2026. Thank you, Laura.
Thank you. Hi, my name is Laura Lewis. I am the director of Market Fest. This is year 2 for me in this role. So still new, but it's not as hard as last year, so we're making improvement.
It's on.
Is it? Oh, okay. So yeah, Market Fest this year runs June 18th through July 30th from 6 to 9 p.m. Market Fest, as you guys all know, is a family-oriented festival. Not only do we bring people downtown to our shops and local businesses, also the goal of Market Fest is to really foster that business and to promote our city of White Bear Lake. So who makes it all work? There is a lot of people listed up here and a lot of people in our community that really make Market Fest happen. I truly could not do it without all of them. I learned last year very quickly that this event was going to happen whether I did my job well or not, which was very reassuring to me in case I'd, missed something or slipped up, that the event was the community had the event in good hands. So truly super thankful for everyone on this list. I'm not going to read, all of them, but the fire department, the police department, public works, CERT, Triad, all the volunteers are huge players in Market Fest. The 2026 Market Fest committee has changed a little bit over the last couple of years. I'm not going to read all the names up there, but our committee is pretty diverse and has a lot of years of experience in Market Fest. I have some staff members on the committee. I have our Main Street president on the committee as well, and yeah, just a lot of supporters there. So Market Fest, it's in our 36th season. We started in 1989. Main Street Inc. acquired the event in 1998 and partnered with the city of White Bear Lake. And then Manitow Days, as Scott said, is June 18th through July 4th this year. We have a ton of family-oriented activities at Market Fest. We have 2 stages of live music. We have kids' activity zone and pony rides. The classic car show is there every week, weather permitting. And then we have over 200 vendors that show up throughout the course of the 7 weeks to showcase their private, small businesses and merchants and things like that. So, theme weeks. A lot of these are returning. Every year we have 1 or 2 new ones. This year we'll have 2 new ones just because one of the agricultural and science night, they're no longer going to be continuing, and so I'm going to fill their spot soon. I just found that out at the end of last week. So, School of Rock is one new one this year. They're going to take over 4th Street with demonstrations and teach kids and adults and everyone in between different riffs of "We Will Rock You," and then once you learn your part, you can play it with the band at the School of Rock booth. So that's kind of fun. I'm excited to kind of bring more arts and more attractions of that kind to Market Fest, to bring in more families and more young kids, and then also the teenage crowd. I feel like getting more of their participation at Market Fest is always a positive thing. Vendors. So yeah, 200 vendors each Thursday. We have various categories that we try to fill and try to keep balanced so that nothing's ever we don't want too many food vendors and not enough small businesses showcased. So we try to kind of spread it out and split the percentages around so that we have a good, diverse offering. For vendors, we do give discounts on booths for the White Bear Lake taxpayers receive 25% off. Those within the special service district of the downtown White Bear Lake area, they receive 50% off. And then businesses that are within the footprint of the Market Fest Thursday night, they can just walk out their storefront and use that space in front of their store for free. Again, really promoting our downtown businesses and helping in their success. Here's the map. It's probably really hard to see, but it doesn't change much. All that really changes year to year is the stage name, who's sponsoring the stages, and then the local businesses within the footprint, they change year to year. And so I just kind of update those. Our P&L for 2025. I don't really want to go through every line item here, but I'll just I'll highlight a couple of things. Last year, my first year, we did really well. I managed to keep expenses low, and we came through really good. I did really well in the sponsorship category. and generally was able to keep the budget looking nice, which I was pleasantly surprised with. This year, the hope is to keep things somewhat flat. I had to adjust for inflation. I also want to kind of reinvest some of our profits from last year back into the event so that we can continue to make it better. So a couple of things that we did or are going to do this year is we have a new website that launched in February. That was a capital expense, that build, and that's already live and ready to go. And kind of putting some more dollars back into marketing. Print ads, I might do like 1 or 2 more of those this year. And then social media marketing, I'm hoping to spend a bit more there as well, just because that's the trend, right? That's where people are kind of looking and seeing things. And so I'm hoping that that is worth it. Our balance as of last year at the end, it was $96,000. Again, that's before our website build and me budgeting a little extra for the marketing efforts. So our request then from the City of White Bear Lake is funding for $7,000 for event expenses, the use of the downtown White Bear Lake streets and sidewalks, Washington Ave, Banning, 4th, 3rd, the back parking lot, the continued support of Public Works, the use of Public Works truck and trailer for transportation and storage of chairs, barricades, and other equipment. And then Market Fest participation, fire trucks, emergency vehicles, paid officers, the 2 CERT booths each week, Public Safety Week, which is July 16th, and then the Environmental Expo Theme Week, which is July 30th this year. In return, Market Fest will host 7 consecutive Thursdays. We'll provide quality activities and entertainment in a safe setting and promote White Bear Lake as a destination city. That's all I have. Do I have any questions?
Thank you. Does anybody have any questions? Yes. Councilmember Edberg.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Ms. Lewis, so we saw an income statement. What is the accumulated balance on your balance sheet?
Yeah, so at the end of last year, it was $96,000
Okay.
in our combined savings and checking.
So we've already budgeted for this year. I will support the full allocation for this year. I would note that the contribution that the city makes in the form of the time of staff to clean up, set up, support, provide safety, et cetera, is probably well in excess of the $7,000 in cash. Over 7 nights easily outpaces that. I read today that there are 35 communities who have requests before the state legislature for local sales taxes. That's because cities are running into financial challenges with revenue diversification. I think we're going to need to have a conversation over the coming year as we prepare for the 2027 budget about some potential reductions. And so I just want to flag that's an issue that I think we need to be talking about, and not just with Market Fest, with all of our sponsors and sponsorships. We're in a position where I think we need to start looking in the couch cushions because we're dealing with the same issues that everybody else is dealing with. And so I just want to flag that as a conversation for 2026 for implementation in 2027. And obviously, there will be other members that will have to weigh in on that, and who knows where that conversation goes.
Sure.
But things are getting tight, and I just want to give you a year's notice.
Sure.
Your balance is almost the equivalent of what a year full of expenditures are. So it's like you've done well. Should be complimented. You and your predecessors should all be complimented, and that's a good thing. But
Yeah.
I'm just flagging for you something that I'm thinking about for the coming year.
Sure. Yeah, and that's a goal, right, to get the balance sheet to look that way. We want to be able to cover a year's expenses because not so long ago, in 2020, we wiped out our balance sheet to cover the expenses, to not have Market Fest, right? So it does feel good to get it back here, but I'm aware of, I appreciate the heads up, and I can try to help look at things, and I am a penny pincher too, so at heart, so I'll start working on that now and thinking about it for next year.
And I don't want to close on that note. The work of all of the volunteers, the staff, the coordination, it's a fine event. We are fortunate to have the kind of community and the community leaders and volunteers that come together to make that thing happen. So thank you for that.
Yeah, you're welcome. I couldn't agree more. Thank you.
Councilmember West.
Thank you. So I'm wondering, kind of a little bit riffing off of Councilmember Edberg here, is there any way that you track how much time the city staff put into Market Fest at all?
No, I can't. I've especially not last year. I was just thankful that things were moving without my
For sure.
no and without my say so. Things just kind of happened, and I was so appreciative. I would ask your departments at your city in your city billing to give you those numbers. They have to have them.
So just, and you may be ready to say this, I don't know, but I think it would be nice to have a little bit of that, maybe not exact, but a little bit of that information about how much time our staff and how many resources we use for Market Fest. I think that would be helpful information to have as we're kind of moving forward and thinking about what our future looks like. And all of that. And again, like everybody else, very much appreciate Market Fest and Manitou Days, and super glad to have that. I think it is a unique thing that our city does, and thank you for the good work that you do.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
Mayor, Councilmember West, I'm going to make the assumption that everyone would be interested in that, so we can begin to track staff time. Market Fest is another great example of where we use CERT to help us significantly when it comes to parking or putting up no parking signs and helping us move cars and having an informational booth. So if we didn't have CERT, as we were just talking about, it would be exponentially higher. But we can begin to track that with Public Works and police and fire. Rick's time will also be part of that. He does play a big part in Market Fest as well. So we'll start that for this year.
Councilmember Gurula, go ahead.
Add, yes, but if it's not like asking staff to do it, too much of an additional thing, like I know I've been on the Environmental Advisory Commission on our Environmental Expo night, like we on the commission come and set up all the tables on 4th Street and do that. Yes, there is our staff member who is there to direct us and do that leads. But also, I don't, I'm interested, but I also don't want to put on a lot, because then that can come down to like, okay, if there's a way to express, I guess, that these numbers, like, it's okay if they're exact in general, because I don't want to add more on staff having to deal with that, tracking all
Easy
those.
for us to take, an hour of an officer's time, multiply that by how many hours and how many staff. So I'll give you, we can give you an easy ballpark for all of the departments that are involved.
I would be fine with that if others are.
Okay, can we go back to the slide where the budget was? Okay, so I'm just want to make sure I'm getting this straight. So it costs you $12,600 to put on the event?
No.
Oh, that's the income.
No. Yeah, our revenue
Oh, that was your
is
revenue.
121 for last year.
Okay.
I got 35 in sponsorships. We're not really selling T-shirts anymore, so we happen to sell a few, so that's why there's $180 in that line. I'm not budgeting to sell any this year. We just it was a money loss for us, and so I just, as the director, decided, with the support of my committee, that it was time to kind of retire those. We might look at pre-orders at some point, but for now we're just going to stop. And then in vendor dollars, we received $86,000 for last year, just under what was budgeted. And I'm going to chalk that up to it being my year one and just trying to figure out how to get as many vendors in there as possible. And then our total expenses is 105. They're kind of at the bottom.
Okay. And you have a cash balance right now of 96 for this year?
For 2025.
Oh,
Yep,
okay.
as of 2025 in September of 2025. So end of season for us.
Right, so to spend on this year's?
Yeah, essentially.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you
you're
so much
welcome.
for all you're doing. Thanks for the presentation. Does anybody else have any questions? No? Okay, thanks so much.
Thank you.
So I would entertain a motion to adopt the attached resolution authorizing financial and other logistic support for Market Fest in 2026.
So moved. Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion passes. All right, item 6, public hearings. We have nothing scheduled. Item 7, unfinished business. We have nothing scheduled. Item 8, new business. We have issuance of general obligation improvement bonds for 2026 pavement rehabilitation projects. Ms. Kinsvater.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and members of the council. Tonight I'm here to share with you the results of our bond sale today. Just as a little background, the City Council authorized the issuance of $1,805,000 of general obligation street reconstruction bonds at the March 10th, 2026 meeting. And that the bond issue would fund the 2026 Pavement Rehabilitation Project. Since that time, staff has worked with Ellers, our financial advisors, to prepare for this morning's bond sale. There was one extra step we added in that, due to the higher than anticipated project costs received at the bid opening last week, we did increase the par amount of the bonds to $1,970,000. So that's what we had going into the bond sale today. As part of the process, we had a ratings review with S&P Global. After their research and going through our information we submitted, they affirmed the city's bond rating at the AA+ for the current issue for the 2026 and all of the outstanding bond issues. They assigned the city a stable outlook, and this is, in all of the times that we've had our the ratings increase, we've been assigned this stable outlook. So they think we're in a good financial position in the coming years. So their affirmation and assignment was based on the following aspect. They see us as having a healthy, growing economy with access to the broad, diverse Minneapolis-St. Paul area with notable residential development and strong commercial demand. We have strong budgetary performance, reflecting conservative budgeting and positive budget variances relative to the budget. We have prudent financial management policies and practices. We have the reports that come to the City Council. We work through long-term financial planning forecasting each year, and we also work with our capital project planning. They also like how we do our investment management and our fund balance policies. The final thing is that there is a weak debt and contingent liability profile that, when talking with our municipal advisor, that's most cities, when they look at them, because the cities have debt that they're issuing, that is not an issue. That's not something we should be worried about. It's just they keep an eye on the debt that we are issuing. And so all of that together had them affirm our bond rating. The AA+ is one level below the top rating of a AAA. If we were to try to achieve the AAA, we would need to increase our reserves and increase our taxing capabilities. So as we've looked at this in the past, we felt that the AA+ is a great level for us because we're really trying to be prudent with our finances, but have an excellent credit rating so that we can get a lower interest rate when we're issuing our debt. So the preliminary debt service schedules that Ellers prepared for our planning purposes were based on a 15-year life, and they used a true interest cost of 3.59%. In our bond sale this morning, we had 6 investment firms that bid on our bonds. The bids were very competitive, and there was just 0.2% difference between the lowest bid and the highest bid that we received. So it was all very aggressive on us getting quality bids on our bonds. The lowest bid came in from Baird of Milwaukee, Wisconsin, with a true interest cost of 3.42%. So that's just lower than what Ellers had made an estimate for, so that's very exciting. The bond did include a premium component. It was of approximately $148,000. So just as a reminder, a premium is the extra money that a buyer pays above the bond's original value because the bond pays a better interest rate than what is available in the current market. So with getting that bond premium, the city has an option that we can either hold the bond, so either hold them at that $1,970,000, or we can apply the premium to reduce that value. In cases like this, the city has historically taken that premium and reduced the value of the bond just to be able to reduce our costs that we would pay for interest. So in choosing to do that and applying that, our bonds are back down to where we originally started. So we're at $1,815,000. So kind of went full circle on that, but it's exciting. Based on today's bond sale information, the actual impact in the 2027 levy will be about $157,000, so that's about 1% of an increase in the tax levy, and that's what we had been anticipating. So I see today's bond sale as a success, that we got a lower interest rate, we got the premium, and that there was a competitive bid. So with that, I recommend that the City Council adopt the resolution awarding the sale of the general obligation street reconstruction bonds, Series 2026A, in the adjusted aggregate principal of $1,815,000. I can take any questions.
Does anyone have any questions for Ms. Kinvater? Councilmember Edberg.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Ms. Kinsvater, so we have, as you noted, we have taken that premium and reduced the expense rate. What would be the alternative? What would be the impact of the alternative? What would happen to that $148,000 if we chose not to reduce the bonded amount?
The bonds would stay at the $1,970,000, and we would then get that money, that $148,000, plus we'd have the higher bond principal and interest to pay.
So we would need to tax more in order to service a higher level of debt, but we would have cash in our pockets earlier, or when does that? I'm trying to figure out what the alternative looks like. I'm not inclined to want to necessarily go there, but what could we do with that check? Do they write it at the time of issuance, or how does that work?
That is an excellent question.
We've never done that, I don't think.
We've never done that. Mm-hmm. So I will do some research into that, and I will get back to you.
That works. Thank you.
Ms. Kinsvater, I'm thinking that it may need to be spent on this project, since that's the debt that it was issued on behalf of.
City Manager Crawford, I believe the same thing, but I just wanted to confirm that. It's not just money you could use on anything.
Dang it, I was going to give it to Market Fest.
Does anyone else have any Questions?
Yeah, Madam Mayor.
Councilmember Walsh.
Just, I can't remember, do we get the bids, do we have a choice? Are we taking the low bid? You know, this was a low interest rate plus a premium. Do we have any choice, or is this sort of like we're locked into low bid?
Madam Mayor, Councilmember Walsh, we are locked into the low bid.
Thank you.
Councilmember Edberg.
Just a nuance on that, is it, so when we do construction projects, it's the lowest responsible bid. You know, we have to assess who is doing the bidding. I'm assuming that isn't the issue, that we assume that all of the brokerage firms, investors, et cetera, that are bidding have already demonstrated their ability to fulfill and honor the terms and all that kind of good stuff. So we don't have to worry about the quality of the investors. So that's really not an issue here. Theoretically, it could be an issue with a paving contractor or something like that. But is that correct?
Correct. Madam Mayor, Councilmember Edberg, in going through there, as we look each year, I can compare, and it's pretty, we have a consistent grouping of investors that really like our bonds each year. It's just which one rises to the top. But those are all vetted through Ellers. So.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Mayor Nikolowski, I just have one comment before you vote. This, I think issuing debt can be very confusing, and it's complex to understand. What we do every year is, you know, we take out a loan to pay for the street project, and in doing that, we have to have a credit score, a credit check. And so that's what our bond rating is, to put it in very, very oversimplified terms. And it's not flashy, it's not eye-catching, it's not, you know, it's not a police call, it's not out there open, but it is incredibly important in what we do, and it is our credit score, and we would not be able to function, we wouldn't be able to buy, you know, a new fire truck if we didn't have the credit score that we have. So it's really important, I think, just for the community and especially council to understand our finances are managed incredibly well through our finance department, through Director Kinsvater, and it's a big deal that we're just one step below the top step, and we really can't get any higher because of our economy and our landscape and our tax base. So we're doing the absolute best that we can do, and just I wanted to share a little bit about that and give you kudos, Director Kinsvater. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Kinsvater. All right, so do I have a motion to adopt the resolution to award?
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the resolution passes. All right, item 9, discussion. We have nothing scheduled. Item 10, communications from the city manager. Ms. Crawford.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the council. I just have one slide tonight. Our biannual newsletter has been hitting mailboxes this week. That's the front page of it. That's a new city council photo. So it's another wonderful addition, I think, in my opinion. Staff does a phenomenal job at pulling all of this together, and it really takes a small village to do that. A lot of work, months of work goes into creating this, so good job to City Clerk Longendijk for coordinating all of it. I know communications is not your first duty, so I really appreciate your time. The spring cleanup is this Saturday, May 2nd, from 7 a.m. to 1 p.m. at Public Works. Proof of White Bear residency is required. Mayor Nikolowski is going to be there, welcoming White Bear Lake residents and chatting with them, and even helping Public Works.
Does that mean you're checking IDs? You're the one checking IDs?
Yeah, I'll check ID.
Nice.
I'll help unload.
Do you require a license to be a bouncer?
From bad sides, please go home.
I'll be a cheerleader.
So thank you for doing that, engaging with our community that way. And then I will be at Continuing Education Conference tomorrow through Friday. So that's what I have. Thank you.
Okay. And I would like to let everyone know that we are in second place for our population category for the National Mayor's Challenge for the water conservation. But we're in second place. We are getting beat by Laguna Beach, California, and I really think that we could probably beat them. So everyone here in the room and watching online, if you want to go take the pledge, we will win prizes. If we win for the community. So you can go on the Facebook site and
Our
check
Facebook
out
page.
how to take the pledge for water conservation. Anybody else have anything? Councilmember Garola.
I got to tour Merrick, which is not just a plastic recycling organization in Vadnais Heights, but many that our community uses, but does much more as a nonprofit beyond that. And that was a really awesome and enlightening experience. And then I also was able to attend our White Bear Lake mutual aid community store put on by residents and people surrounding, or sale. And it was really great. And they were raising mutual aid funds for people, families in our community.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I went to that too. It was a great turnout, really good turnout. Does anyone else have anything? No? Okay. Moving on.
I do have one more thing.
You do? Okay.
Thank you, Councilmember Engstrand. Reminded me, Touch a Truck is May 7th. Yes, it's May 7th at Podman Park from 5 to 7 p.m. I can't believe I forgot about that. Thank you. That's a huge event put on by police, by Megan Christensen in Police and Fire, but everybody attend. We have almost 4 digits that show up to that event, so go touch a truck.
Yes, yes. Thank you. All right, we are now going to move into a closed session. The City Council authorized the issuance, am I reading this right? No.
There you go.
Sorry. We are now need to go into a closed session pursuant to Minnesota Statute 13D.05, Subdivision 3C3, which authorizes the City Council to develop or consider offers of counteroffers for the purchase or sale of real or personal property. The address of the real property under discussion is 1333 Birch Lake Boulevard South. Therefore, I request a motion to go into a closed session pursuant to the Minnesota State Statute, Section 13D.5, Subdivision 3C3, to discuss the above described matters.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Thanks.